presented by Dano's Seasoning. Yum, yum, get you some.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Sunbelt Syndicate. Oh, I ruined the surprise. I already had him on the screen there, TJ.
It happened.
Yeah, we want to welcome everybody in. We know last week we promised the man himself, Mr. DJ Smith. We finally got him in. He got caught up in a little recruiting dinner, something he couldn't get out of, which we all know and understand with the coaching realm is you got to be able to adjust on the fly, right, TJ?
That is a fact. And when duty calls, you go handle duty. We are secondary.
Yes, we are absolutely secondary. That's fine. We want to thank everyone for last week, both guest-wise and the people viewing and downloading afterward. It's been our most successful episode yet, which, I mean, go figure, right? With the amount of all-stars and superstars and Hall of Famers that we had in that episode, man, it was a great time. And if you did miss that one, I recommend going back and watching and listening to it because we got a lot of comments about what people liked about that show. So I know TJ really appreciated that one.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Before we get going too far along, thank you to our sponsors, Dubby Energy, Fanplex Graphics, as you can see behind me here, TSN Off Road, and Dano's Seasoning. TJ, real quick before we intro our guest of the night, our two guests of the night, really. I tried something different tonight with the waffle nachos recipe that I found. I'd love to see what you could do with it, though, because
you got to tell me a bit more about waffle nachos.
Well, it looked really good. It looked really promising, I guess, when I saw the recipe online. It sounded easy enough. I did have to have the wife step in and double check me on a few things. I'm not the guy I'm not TJ. I'm not the man of the kitchen. I'm a little bit better on the grill, but the kitchen is not my expertise. But I'd love to see what spin you could put on it. So I'll have to really dig down into that with you afterward. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because I think Dano's Seasoning could have helped out in some regard.
Probably so. Dano's Seasoning helps out in almost every regard. So yeah, I put it on most everything that I cook. So
yeah, it's definitely great stuff. And with that, without further ado, we want to welcome in the main guest of the night. He hails from Charlotte, North Carolina, where he played linebacker for State Power Independence High School. He spent the next 4 years wreaking havoc on the field for Appalachian State, during which time he helped collect an all-time win over Michigan and an FCS title. He was drafted in the 6th round by the NFL's Green Bay Packers. His career included stints with the Chargers, Texans, Panthers, and Browns. He moved into the coaching role shortly thereafter, spending time at his alma mater, App State, and most recently, Missouri, where he was the co-defensive coordinator. He now returns to App State to join Coach Logan's staff as the defensive coordinator. Please welcome to the program the man himself, Mr. DJ Smith.
What's going on, DJ?
What's going on? How we doing? I appreciate y'all guys having me on.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you jumping on with us, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we want to also welcome back Mr. BT, Brandon Turner, App State wide receiver and guy who was obviously on the show last year. You'll see him around a little bit more as we move forward. But DJ, you are or have been in Boone for what, like just under 2 weeks technically at this point?
Yeah, about right at 2 weeks. Yep, right at 2 weeks.
Okay. And how did the wife appreciate moving to Boone in the winter time frame?
I'm a celebrity. I'm a celebrity. Exactly. I'm a celebrity in the household right now. She's back in Missouri trying to get the house ready to sell. So, that's been a whole journey. A 10-year-old son who's wreaking havoc. So he's driving her crazy. So, I'm probably going to get an earful here in a little bit.
I'm sure you will.
Yes. I have a little tidbit of information that I learned. Did you volunteer time at the Boone Library when you first got to Boone? Spend some time over there?
Yep. I think, what was it? I think I was working in the basement. I think it was the Children's Center with all the teacher books down there for the kids. I mean, yeah, it was pretty cool. I think I did that for, how many years I did that? I think I did it for 3 years. 3 out of the 4.
And that was all volunteer work?
No, that was a job, man. I was working, man. NCAA, I'm out of eligibility, big dog. So, no, I was working, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought a little part-time job in between classes and ball.
Gotcha. Do you remember Evelyn Johnson when you were doing that?
Evelyn Johnson. That name sounds familiar.
She was probably running things over there. Apparently, she was the one that kind of ran that library, and her son Seth is a part of this.
Yeah. I remember Miss Evelyn. How's she doing?
She unfortunately passed. But
I did
she
not
was
know that.
Very well known in the community. She has a plaque hanging up at that library now because of all the stuff she had done over the years. I know she and the rest of the staff over there appreciated what you were doing to come in there and give some time to the community, whether you were getting paid or not. I mean, it's not something that people just go and look for like that. So it speaks to your character as a person to go over there and do something that, still exists in the community and a tool that a lot of people can use in that area. So I definitely wanted to mention that because like I said, that's part of the baseball program. So.
Sorry to hear that about Miss Evelyn passing, man. Was a great person to work under, great mentor, role model, learned a lot in my time.
Absolutely, man. TJ, you got a question for DJ here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody is super excited. I know we talked last week about, you're coming back to the mountaintop. I mean, what it means for, number one, recruiting, right? Number one, that's the biggest thing is going and sitting in these kids' living rooms the same way these coaches did with us. Right. And being able to tell them what life is really like, on that mountain. But for me, I guess the biggest thing is, what went into you making the decision to come back to App? I mean, how was that process? And then what did that look like? What were the conversations leading up to it with Coach Loggins? How did that go?
Yeah. So first and foremost, it kind of happened. Obviously, Coach Clark, being let go, sucks for that deal. Tremendous coach. I actually came in with Coach Clark in 2016, back with his first year back up at App as a coach. So, I've worked with him that 4 years there, and then I went off to Missouri with Coach Drinkwitz. But, so when those guys got let go, Coach Dawgos got the job. I think he was about maybe 4 or 5 days on the job. And I got the call from my agent, that they reached out and they had some interest in me being a defensive coordinator. So talked with Coach Dow. We had a pretty in-depth conversation about a couple of hours, and then we ended up getting on a Zoom call and interview for him. He was like, when can you interview for the job? I said, I can go later on today. He was like, man, what about it? So, it's just one of those deals, man. You never got to get ready if you stay ready. So, was able to interview, within the next 24 hours. We had a long, extensive interview. It was a good call. Felt more like a conversation rather than just being a talk and me talking on the board. So we felt real comfortable with each other. I think he gave it about 24 to 48 hours, kind of slept on it and thought about it, talked to some other candidates, and ended up circling back, man. And I would say probably over the next 3 or 4 days, it kind of came together. I think I was at the bowl site. I think we were going to Nashville. We were going to Nashville for the bowl site for the Music City Bowl when I was at Missouri. I'm literally getting on the bus, had to step off a call. Saw Coach Loggins call. Like, I gotta go. I gotta jump off the bus real quick. Right. Took the call. He was like, man, you want this coordinator job? I was like, man, I'll be there tomorrow. I'll be there tomorrow, man. So, to be able to come home, I've been in App State. I've been 18 years old, played there 4 years, and then coached there for 4 years. I'm 35 now, aging myself. I mean, 8 or 9 of my adult life has been on this mountain, man. So, it's a special place to me. Was able to get my son up for a game back in 2017 for him to be a part of that experience. Then my wife then coming up, her seeing the Sun Belt Championship game and all those things in 2018 and 2019, man. So she's pretty engulfed in the community and understands what this mountain is about and what makes this place so special. So, for the community to be able to welcome us with open arms, man, it's been fun so far, man. It's been real fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. And like I said, I mean, it's one thing to coach up here. It's another thing to coach and play. Yeah. Right, because you get both sides of it. You know exactly kind of what to expect. You know what to tell these kids when they're coming up here. You talked a bit about the interview process and how you guys had a conversation for a couple hours. What was that whole interview process like in terms of what were some things that you had to do to make sure that Coach Loggins knew that you were the right man for the job in terms of defensive philosophy, X's and O's? Was it, you sitting in front of a whiteboard? Was it you guys having just a conversation? Right. What did that interview look like? Was it face-to-face, virtual? Tell me some insight on that.
The interview process, me and Coach Loggins were kind of familiar with each other. So, he was at Arkansas from in 2021 and 2022. So I coached against him while he was there as an assistant. He was the tight ends coach at Arkansas. His alma mater now is at Missouri. So it's a little bit of love-hate relationship there, a little bit with him being a Razorback fan. And, they got the best of us. We're 1-1, in that series there. And then he ended up going to be the offensive coordinator at South Carolina in 2023 and then obviously 2024. So, he's gone against the defensive philosophy, the kind of some things that we'll kind of do and implement here on the mountaintop here in the coming year, 2025. So he's kind of familiar with that defense and kind of how we do things, the aggressive nature and kind of how we set fronts and how we line up and the way that the guys will kind of look and play hard and chase the football and run and hit. So it's kind of a little bit of, hey, what are you thinking running schematically, kind of based off of what those guys have ran in the past? I know the guys are running the Nate Woody system in the past. We'll have a couple of those kind of things that are kind of sprinkle in, but we'll base everything out of a 4-down defense. So just kind of talking through those things, getting on the whiteboard and just understanding philosophies about recruiting and where do you see recruitment, whether, from a high school standpoint or a portal standpoint, and really just understanding, the traditions and the values that, the Mountain has to offer, to a student athlete, whether that be a high school kid or a portal kid, and just understanding what that culture has been about for so many years since Coach Moore, instilled that in us, man. So I was like, it was kind of a no-brainer kind of situation. I mean, he's got a natural aura about himself. I think we just kind of fed off each other, man, about, his eagerness to want to get started and my eagerness to want to be a part of it and get everything back going in the right way.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. BT?
Hey, DJ, last week, there was a lot of I met you a couple of times, like I say, in passing, being in Boone. On the radio, because I'm the radio analyst for the football team. So I'll be coming up there soon once y'all kick spring ball off, and I'm there on the weekends. And we talked a lot last week about App State culture and how we felt that you've been somebody who was from the beginning before this team transitioned into the group of 5, group of 4, than what it is now. And obviously you've been around it. You played at the highest level. You've been in the SEC for a little bit, was in that Sun Belt. Now you're back at home. So how do you see, I know obviously you made some progressions through the things. What's some of the differences you've seen from your first time being at App State back in 2016 to now, to help, that also came with your playing days, to make sure that the App State culture doesn't get forgotten about and it's brought back in with you, like as a former player, we look at you to help bring the culture back since our guys, Coach Clark, was gone. So how do you hope to do that?
The biggest thing, first and foremost, hats off to, Coach Clark and those guys. I think those guys did an outstanding job, with what the task was at hand. But like I said, from a player standpoint, man, just that accountability factor, right? Just day in and day out, holding guys accountable, making sure they understand that there's a certain standard and a certain championship level of play that we got to have in this university, in this program, that was built way before, before myself and before those guys that are currently on the team right now. And it's our duty to be able to pick up the flag and carry it and move it forward, man. And that's just part of it. It's play for championships, we play for rings. I mean, that's the standard, man. That's the standard of App State football. Anybody who's played here, they understand that and they know that going in. And, as a player, we wanted that. We wanted that. We didn't shy away from that. So just, getting with those guys. And I think we had team run the other day. I mean, those guys, the guys here, man, they're eager. They're hungry, man. They got something to prove, man. They feel like their backs are against the wall. And, I think we're come out full speed, guns blazing, man. I think it's going to be real exciting, the product that we're able to put on the field. And, these guys are really to meet that challenge and ready to meet that standard.
I got you. And I mean, obviously, you coming back to Boone doesn't put you too far away from home, being in Charlotte.
Yeah.
You got family, friends that are still around this area. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that sale coming back to Boone and only being an hour and a half, 2 hours from Charlotte was easy for you. Because I'm currently based in Charlotte right now. So I know how the App State traditions and how the App State fans are here, that alumni that go up to Boone on weekends.
Right.
And so I again, wish you well. I'll be around a good bit. And I look, something you said that we talk about off camera, me and TJ talk about cameras, is a 4-man front. We weren't too far. Over the past couple of years, we haven't been too fond of that 3-man front.
No, it's not a lot of gaps in there. And DJ, you played
it is. I played in both, man. It's a lot of gaps, man. It can get confusing at times, if everybody's not on the same page. But, being in that 4-down world, you be able to put some edges right now in the defense and allow guys to create those one-on-ones for the bigs up front. So that allows those guys to feel more involved in the defense and what we're doing, be able to cut loose, be in the best pass rush position, man, and also being able to knock the run down.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I think that's something key that we look forward to as App State alums and fans going into the season, because I don't know what happened last year. I'm giving the whole coaching staff a brand new start, because you're bringing in your own philosophies.
Right.
And as you go out and hit the recruiting trail, and you say you're looking for a linebacker, obviously you play there. What type of linebackers you looking for in your scheme?
We're looking for fast, tough, physical defenders all around. It doesn't matter if he's a linebacker, a defensive lineman, or somebody on the back end, man. We look for guys who love to play the game of football. They love to run and hit, and they're all about ball, man. Because as you know, we've been up on that hill, man. It's ball in school, man. There's not a whole lot going on, but you can really, if you're locked in on being the best football player you can be, you can really be part of something special.
Yeah. I don't want to catch you off guard with this, but it is a question. And I did see some stuff yesterday that was very interesting. And then apparently some of it's been deleted. If you can speak on anything you know on Brendan Harrington, if you can't, I understand. I'm not trying to put you in a bad spot, but it seemed like a lot of excitement yesterday. And then, stuff was deleted off social media. So I just, again, if you can, whatever. If not, we will move on.
B. Harrington, man. B. Harrington's my guy. Crazy story about B. Harrington. So B. Harrington was in that 2018 recruiting class. He's like the elder statesman, man. He's been playing a lot of ball here, man. He's kind of seen it front end from the back end. I was just as surprised as you guys were. I know I talked to him briefly over the offseason. I know some things were kind of in the works, with things like the Diego Pavi and all those things about getting extra years, man. But Brendan Harrison's a guy, if it works out, I'd love to have him, man. He's a tremendous leader. He'll be a guy that's ready to run and hit, man. I know he wants to go out on a good note. So we would welcome him with open arms, man, if it was a decision that he wanted to make.
So nothing official yet with him coming back. It's just kind of
I think it's something that's kind of up in the air. I know he's expressed interest in coming back. We obviously have that relationship. Being a guy that recruited him here to App. From I believe, where is he? He's from that Durham, Raleigh. Like he's from that
Pittsburgh, something like that.
Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh, Burlington area.
Right on the outside of Chapel Hill.
Yeah, exactly, man. So he's excited about it. I know we kind of briefly talked, but I think some things are still in the works, man. But hopefully it comes out on the positive end.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of kind of the recruiting areas, he had a little extra juice when we went up against ECU earlier this year after the game. So that was great because the passion and everything he has is what you want on the team. BT talked about you being in Charlotte and him being in Charlotte. That's got to be a recruiting hotbed. Is that a big focus point for you specifically, and maybe what a spot specifically Logan really wanted you to kind of focus in on by bringing you on the staff as well?
Absolutely, man. We got to take care of home first, right? We got to lock down the state of North Carolina, man. I mean, it's a lot of good football, and South Carolina. I mean, you're talking about Armani Edwards being from Greenwood, South Carolina. I mean, that guy's a freak.
We know South Carolina has best football too.
That's crazy. I don't know why you would do that.
Wait a minute. See, you're trying to take it a little far there. Like, I give you a little bit. See, that's why you can't give him a little bit, TJ. Oh, my gosh. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
There's a reason why App State is in North Carolina.
That is correct.
And the athletes come out of South Carolina. We got it. It's so good.
That is unbelievable, man. But to answer your question, big dog, Charlotte, man, it's clearly me talking about the alumni base, like alluded to what TJ was saying earlier, man. I mean, you talk about being in Charlotte, Raleigh, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point. I mean, all the way to the coast. I remember BJ. What's my man? BJ. What's BJ last name? BJ Frazier's from the coast out there, near going toward the Outer Banks, man. So I mean, talking about 3:30 at the Rock, man. Black Saturday. That's what the place is built on. Looking forward to it, man. It's gonna be fun.
Nice.
It's cool that you bring it up because I was actually about to ask you how the recruiting trail was going, and for me, one of the biggest things, because I know obviously the portal. Right. It's a new thing. I don't want to say new thing. People have been transferring since the beginning of time.
Right. But
now it just seems like more of an added element. It's right now. People don't have the patience for a rebuild. Right. Nobody's looking to be in the kitchen cooking. They want to make sure they see the finished product. What's the I guess I don't want to say percentage of time spent with recruiting versus being in the portal, but how does that mesh look? And how much of your time is kind of divided up between the two? Are you doing both? What does that look like from a recruiting or portal standpoint? Are most of the guys coming from the portal? Are you trying to build young guys up? How's that working as far as making this new football team?
Obviously it's something, in college football that, that's here and it's part of it now. And you got to be you've got to be adaptable to the situation, the current environment and the current landscape. So to say that we're not recruiting in the portal right now is disingenuous. That's just not true. Right. Sure. So, it's just trying to find that fine line between that mixture of having enough high school young talent on your roster and then kind of supplementing that with some older veteran guys out of the portal, whether that be from whatever schools, whether it's from the FCS level or other P4 schools, or whether it's from another G5 school, just finding the right guys with the right fit and the right mentality to bring into your program. Like we talked about earlier, the mountain's a special place. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. So, to be able to get those guys up on campus, get in front of them, it's kind of a transition from the visits, right? High school visits are usually around that 48-hour window, that old traditional way. But the transfer deal it's kind of like speed dating. It's kind of a 24-hour to 36-hour deal. You're getting guys up. You're kind of talking to them on the phone a little bit. You're getting up on campus. You're getting around them, getting around their families. And really just talking about football, right? It's not talking about, hey, I'm trying to get photo shoots and all of that, even though that's part of it, right? That's part of it. But, from a portal standpoint, a lot of those guys are really focused on football, right? And like, hey, are you guys going to be able to make me the best player that I can possibly be? Whether that be the next 10 months because they're a senior. Some guys are looking for a fresh start. Maybe they could be a redshirt freshman. So it really just depends on you. Always have different situations. But at the end of the day, just like high school ball, it still comes down to, are you willing to develop me as a person? Are you willing to develop me as a student athlete? Are you willing to develop me as a football player? And how good can I be? And that's what we try to sell here at App State, man. It's a great environment. It's a family environment. It's a rich community from the standpoint of being able to go out in the community. People are going to recognize you. People are going to know you. And people are going to look out for you. And they're going to take care of you. So, the hospitality that you're going to have here from a student athlete experience, man, is top notch. I mean, to me, I say it's I've been at Missouri. I've been in SEC schools, man. The mountain is a special place. Being over at Missouri, man, guys, people who have talked that I bump into that talk about App State, there's always positive things. There's always great things said. It's never been anything negative, man. So, that's just a tribute to the guys that have come before me and the guys who come before us, just implementing that standard and, just that brand and just that logo is just, everybody knows what that block A is, man. It's a special thing.
Nice. So you're kind of talking about recruiting. I'm gonna kind of flip the side. What do you stand on putting your rest of your defensive staff together?
Okay.
As far as what do you mean?
Like get more coaches and like your position coaches. I've seen some coaches named via social media. So what do you stand like from a defensive side on getting your coaches in?
So we're fully staffed right now. We have one more analyst spot. Keith Jones, our defensive tackles coach. Anthony Shakir is going to be our edges coach, and Coach Fuller, Curtis Fuller from Coastal Carolina, he's going to be our secondaries coach. Coach Devin Coleman is a guy that's an assistant. He hasn't been announced yet, but that should be coming here in the next couple of days. Then we obviously have a couple of GAs that are kind of still working through some things, trying to get in school, make sure that they're getting approved and locked and loaded and ready for classes, man. So it's kind of coming. It's coming together. You know, we got a couple of more spots that we got to hire. So we getting them in and out, man. Because working the scenes behind the camera, man, trying to get things done.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I mean that's a good thing because you got to obviously when you got some holes in the staff, you can't always go fully recruit. So good to hear that. Obviously the staff is coming together, mostly complete. So you guys can get together and start working to get ready for that 25 season.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, man. It's we're excited about it, man. We got some juice. Looking forward to it, man. Ready to just get after it, man. We're all some hungry dudes, man, with something to prove and looking to get this thing back on the right track.
Are you able to provide an update when spring practice kind of starts?
That's a Coach D-Lo answer question, man. I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I'm not really sure. We're still trying to put some things together, man, as far as the calendar and getting those things ironed out, man. So as soon as we can get that word, man, I can reach back out to you guys to make sure you guys got those dates.
Yeah. It's spring game for App State. Come on, we need one. There might still be snow on the ground in spring up there, but we'll come up there anyway.
You never know, man. You never know, man. I hope so. Could happen.
One big thing that I know TJ and I are big fans of Coach Prime. I would assume both of you guys probably are too, especially DJ being in the coaching realm. He was in an interview, I think just yesterday or the day before, and they asked him about NIL and all these kids receiving NIL. And he made it very clear. He stopped the interviewer's question, like mid question. And he said, that's not NIL. What these kids are getting is collective. So the transfer portal and NIL on the books, on paper, are equal to everyone, right? You're all able to grab, businesses are all able to provide NIL. But the difference that's going to remain across the board is the collective money. And I'm not trying to get you to sell App State's collective necessarily, but how big of a deal is it now that fans and supporters are really creating a bank in the background to help you bring in talent as well? And how much of that is, hey, I think I can get this guy if we get X amount. I'm not need you to disclose any financial figures right now, but just is that really a conversation that happens a lot or a little bit? And how big of a deal is this collective become instead of necessarily the NIL? Because it seems like the NIL is kind of separate from the school, really. Maybe partner to help it out, but the collective is kind of the bigger deal here.
Yeah. So like I was talking about earlier, it's part of college football. It's definitely a conversation of things that comes up with, from the high school standpoint, also from the portal standpoint, hey, coach, how am I able to get some NIL? How much you guys able to pay? It's a situation that, as coaches, we've adapted to that philosophy. We don't really run from it. But it's not a thing that's the end all be all. We don't want guys here that are just solely thinking about how much money can I make? That's part of it. That's part of the experience. But, we're trying to sell a unique on-campus experience that's like nowhere else in college football, man. From the standpoint of being on the mountain, everything that provides, the community provides. And like you were saying before, I mean, it does create buy-in from the community from the standpoint of those guys are investing in the football program or the university and athletics as a whole. And, the student athletes feel as far as to be able to pay that forward and be able to not let everybody down and be worthy of that investment, man. So I think it's a situation where it kind of goes hand in hand, But at the end of the day, if we're all winning, we're all winning, from the standpoint of we're winning football games, fans feel the obligation to give more, and then we're able to give the players more. So, I think it becomes that from a standpoint of, we put a good product out there, we produce well, everybody wins in that situation.
Speaking of things you talked about, college landscape now is something like we've never seen before. I remember your freshman year, you came on the campus, and I remember I think it was your freshman or sophomore year, we were going ones against ones. And I had it was an M option or some kind of jet sweep or something, and I remember breaking down the sideline, and I thought I was gone. I thought I was clear, and I turned to my left and I looked and I saw you just. I've never seen a linebacker with speed the way that you had speed. I mean, and it was one of the things that I saw. And when I talked to guys after practice, I was like, damn, DJ is really fast. Not only is he big and he can hit and he can run and he loves the game, but he is really, really fast. I say that to ask you, when it comes to defensive philosophy, are you looking for those kinds of players that were right? I mean, and again, it's going to be hard to replace a DJ, right? Everybody's not equipped to be what you were. I mean, running a 4.3, 4.4 40 and also 225 pounds, right? Like that's not everybody. You don't find those guys walking on the street. But in terms of building your team and building your defense, are you looking for guys that were that same ilk, kind of like you were? And what does that say in terms of your philosophy and how you guys are going to coach that defensive up this year?
I think you've hit it on the head there, Coach. From the standpoint of guys who are physical, can run and hit, just have that passion and that love for the game, and have an emphasis on, defensively, man. We're emphasis on number one, first and foremost, stopping the run, right? Making teams one-dimensional, being able to earn the right to rush the passer, confuse, harassing, and hitting the quarterback, whether that's, disguising certain looks and bringing pressure from one way, or disguising certain looks and playing an 8-man drop. Just trying to confuse that quarterback in situational football, and then that piggybacks into being great tacklers. Like you said, being able to take the right angles for pursuit to the football and getting to the hip and the near hip of the man and going to where he is going to be and not to where you think he's going to be. Right. Just that standpoint of just understanding how to pursue the football and really chase it with a relentless abandonment of just, really street violence, man, and just be violent and be tough. And, just understand that, when you come up on this hill, you're going to have to deal with the Mountaineers defense. It's just one of those things like, we're not going to let you off easy. You're going to have to earn everything that you get, when you're going up against the Mountaineers, man. And, the last part is being situationally elite, whether that's in red zone, third down situations, 2-minute situations at the end of the game, understanding that, hey, it's third and short yardage. This is a situation where most offenses like to go hard count, silent count, just making sure you understand that, hey, we're getting off on the football only. We're getting off on the ball and not the man. Just those little things of just making us situationally aware of kind of the situations and down and distance and just tips and tendencies and just bringing all those things together and just compiling and just being a really good football player.
Awesome.
Hey, you hit on something I want to ask you about. And we kind of talked about it last time we were on tackling. Mm-hmm. How with the NCAA rules and things of that nature, we talked about last time when we were playing under Coach Moore, we tackle probably 3 days a week. I'm not sure.
That's not even an exaggeration.
Yeah, no, I think that might be kind of less. In season it was 3 times a week. Yeah. Kids now they eyes wide. I was like, hey man, we Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, we was in there, dog. We banging it out.
How do you? And you've been a defensive person.
Yeah.
How do you get guys to go hard and practice tackling so that it translate into the game? Because last season I saw like way too many missed tackles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I kind of can feel bad for them, but I can't because when do you practice? Like, it's like, well, I can't go real full speed in practice because, obviously sometimes they're worried about injuries and things of that nature. But like you say, when we were playing, we were in there 3 days a week. Coach didn't care about injuries.
But that kept us from getting injured because we knew what it felt like, right? You were ready. You were equipped. I mean, I knew going over the middle, Jock, DJ, Pierre, I had to be ready.
Yep. Yeah. So how do you coach that in practice to get them or prepare for the game, considering the rules that are kind of in place right now?
I think and then that's the thing that we're going to get with Coach D'Lo about as far as like implementing, some team tackling drills, whether it's pursuit drills, whether it's, a drill called 3 blind mice, of just understanding tracking angles and being in position to be a better tackler. It's not a situation now with things evolving in the college game. You don't have to always go to the ground to be a really good tackler. Just being in position and have good body control, obviously bending the ankles, the knees, the hips, and having your eyes up, chest up, and seeing what you hit. Hat on the backside, we're a hawk roll tackle team, we're being in a frontal position where I'm a chest-to-chest player with my near shoulder, near leg, or whether I'm in a profile situation where I got a side view shot of that guy and I'm always chasing that near hip and I'm trying to run through his backside hip, whether that being, hey, if we're not in a live situation, hey, whether that's running and tackling low and being palms down and that keeps my chest down, keeps my eyes up, and that puts me in good body position to be able to make a tackle. Whether we talked about, like I said earlier, with that frontal deal where I'm coming up on a guy right now and maybe I'm not striking, but now I'm trying to work and punch and work a move to be able to get that ball free and just work a takeaway. And then, whether we getting body on body and, having certain pads and sleds and being able to tackle those things and run those things to the ground and run through, certain dummies and just being able to bring our feet and roll through. I mean, I think one of the craziest things that we all never probably thought about was, the implement of a donut. The old donut roll tackle deal, man. And I remember coming, I was like, man, like, we really tackling donuts? But, like, that's a great tool to be able to teach guys, to be able to teach those strike points and those strike zones and going through those individual drills and be able to film those things. Talk about, hey, man, you got to get your second foot in the ground and drive off your hips and roll through and launch yourself with your head up and your eyes up with your head out of it, being ready to go through and really make a good tackle. So being able to just break down fundamentally on how we're going to tackle. And then just taking that and then bringing that to, a team segment, going from individual to a team segment, and then obviously going into a live period, man. Because I was like, at some point you're going to have to go live, right? You have to get people on the ground. Absolutely. That's part of ball, right? That's part of it. But, just the new ways of just learning the new techniques of, how to tackle. Because a lot of times now, man, like, guys are in the 7-on-7 world, all those things. And it's even at the high school level, like they're not tackling live all the time. So it's still a situation where we're still breaking those guys down and teaching the fundamentals on how to tackle. And obviously, the more and more you're getting that muscle memory of training your body, of being in position, now that brings you to a more, successful rate of being able to make those tackles in a game.
Yeah. What you talk about making those tackles and obviously very important. A lot of times due to the possible ejections or penalties that come from a targeting aspect. Can you speak about how that's evolved since you've played the game even, and what your thoughts might be on, maybe a penalty right in that moment, but like having these kids sit out a whole half or a whole game, it being a little extreme, or do you agree with that type of thing?
Oh, I mean, it's part of it. You know, the first and foremost thing that we're always preaching is safety, right? So, you know, I mean, the old days of just, you know, like TJ coming across the middle and I'm just flatlining him, you know, where his head's not around, he's not in a catchable situation. Those days are done. You know, you just got, you know, as a defensive guy, I'm kind of like, come on. But the other side of it, I do understand the safety proponent of the game and, you know, just trying to elevate and create a longevity of guys being able to play their careers. So, you know, I understand, you know, being in the strike zone and those are things that we have to adapt to as defensive coaches, you know, because, I mean, you can keep coaching it the way you want to coach it, but you're going to end up losing guys, whether guys are getting hurt or whether guys are sitting out from a suspended standpoint. They're not able to participate. So now that kid's not able to reach his personal best because he's sitting on the sideline because you're just being a stubborn coach of understanding, hey, we all know the rules. We all know the strike zone. It's on us to be able to put those kids in a position to where they understand the rules and regulations of things to do and things not to do.
What about when TJ or BT take that ball and use their helmet as a battering ram? Would you like to see the equivalent of an offensive targeting call when they do stuff like that?
I mean, I would rather, you know, the hands to the face with the stiff arming deal. There's like a picture. I got to get with Coco, man. I don't know when this happened. There's a picture on the internet of Coco Hillary stiff arming me, and I'm just like, I know that's not how to play.
But
it's like a still shot, and I'm just like, one of the kids from Missouri, you know, that old deal. I guess when they're bashing you, I guess they kind of like you, so they put one of those deals because, you know, I don't really talk about the stuff that I do, but they're like, you know, people will bring it up, so I'm like, then they put one of those flash shots on the team there, and I'm like, there's no way I got stiff arm right there, but like, you catch it in the freeze frame, he's got me like head pushed back. I'm just like, that's a bad deal. I say, you got to chop it. That's what I tell him right now. I say, that's why I'm not playing anymore. That's why I'm coaching, because I couldn't get it right. So I'm just telling you, man, you got to chop, lift that stiff arm, man. You got to eliminate space, and you got to eat the grass, man, and get the guy down, man. But, you know, we like to have fun with those things. But, yeah, man, I mean, who knows, man? I mean, you know, I doubt that they're ever going to call penalties on offensive players, but that's just part of it. So we'll see.
You got to protect the prima donnas, like these guys as wide receivers. You got to protect them, right?
I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you, they are on scholarship to make you miss, brother. So I get it. I get it. It's part of it.
They get paid just like y'all get paid.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I say, man. They on scholarship, man. They ain't just gonna give it to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Neil has a question, maybe simplistic, maybe a complicated answer. If you have something short on how you guys plan to generate more turnovers this year.
Peanut punch.
More hats to the football. Right? More hats to the football, corral the football, compress it, squeeze it. You got to be violent when you get there. You got to be aggressive, right? So I like we talk about hard shoulder strikes, being in a situation where you're in that frontal deal, like to talk about the peanut punch. You know, it's a cool little habit deal, man. Like, hey, if I'm in a situation where the ball is to me, I want to hammer that ball down, right? If the ball's away from me, I want to punch through the outside opposite arm and obviously securing it with the backside arm. So just putting guys in more positions, you know, that comes with circuits, that comes with more muscle memory, and just understanding that when guys get more comfortable with knowing that they're going to make the tackle, now they're in a situation where, hey, now I can really work and strike the football.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that kind of goes along with Cindy's question. After years of difficulty getting off the field on third down, I'm guessing those types of techniques and those types of plays and more hats to the ball are going to help with also stopping the run, as you said, it being a big focal point of your defense going into this year. Joseph Fansville saying, bring on the ball hawks. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that's DJ's biggest plan there, I would assume. Guys, any more questions for DJ here?
I'm good. I know we talked about. First of all, I appreciate you making some time for me, man. I know you get busy.
Absolutely, man. Y'all my guys, man. I got to take care of home. That's part of it.
And speaking of taking care of home, last thing I'll say before I kind of let you go. We talked about it last week. Culture, bringing the old guys back. You know, kind of getting these guys up on the mountaintop. I know you don't have a lot of say so as it relates to bringing the old guard back, right? And making sure that these players know, who sort of set the foundation and who brought these championships to, and who really brought App State to prominence, right?
Right.
But my task and my challenge to you is let's all get together and figure out ways that we can start, incorporating that old guard, right? And bringing in these old players so that people know. And these guys, they're, like I said, I talked to them last week of my experience with Kendall Lamb. I didn't even know who Kendall Lamb was until we met on the sideline. I think it was a few years ago during a football game. There's no reason why he and I shouldn't know each other, right? And maybe we're not on a first name basis with everybody, but there's no reason why guys shouldn't know other guys that were good, like a Coco Hillary and those kinds of things, right? So that's my challenge to you and to staff is get these guys, Brandon Turner, Richie Williams, myself, Jock, all of us get back on the mountain, man, and let's get to some more of these games and let these kids know who set the foundation.
I'm all for it, man. It's all about player engagement, and you gotta bring the old in with the new, man. And then, it's nothing like a former previous student athlete experience to be able to enlighten these young guys and inspire these guys and be able to understand, like, you're not fighting this fight alone. You're not doing something that's unattainable. I mean, it's the people that have come before you that are able to play in these same seats, wear those same jerseys, wear those same numbers, and rep the black and gold, man. And obviously, everybody doesn't go to the National Football League, but everybody's highly successful, as an App State grad, man, and that holds weight and that means something. And so, I mean, I'm definitely all for it, man. That's definitely something that me and Coach D'Lo talked about bringing guys back and just making sure it's a whole community feel, man, and just make sure we're all pointing in the same direction and pushing in the same direction. So I definitely feel as though we'll be able to get some of those things rocking and rolling.
Awesome, man. Thanks again for your time, bro. I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. I appreciate y'all, man. You guys be safe. You guys need something, man, you just hit me up.
Hey, stay warm, homie. Stay warm.
Yes, sir.
My man.
Take it easy, bro.
All right, y'all be safe.
Yeah,
buddy.
Man, great guy. The fact that his personality shines through, it's easy to see why he's been head of recruiting and been so successful in getting guys from that step to the college step to the NFL, putting a number of guys, and I have the list here right here. He helped coach Akeem Davis-Gaither, Nick Hampton, DeMarco Jackson, Tyron Hopper, and Nick Bolton, just a handful of guys he's helped get all the way to the highest level of football that exists. And you know what? I went back to his rosters. Okay, he played on the 2011 and 2012 Packers team. He played. He was on the active roster for the 2013 Texans and 2014 Panthers. And then he spent some time on some practice squads and had some injury things. But listen to some of the names that he played football with: Clay Matthews, A.J. Hawk, Charles Woodson, J.J. Watt, Charles Johnson, Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, Josh Norman, and Roman Harper.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's pedigree.
That's only a little bit of list, right?
Yeah. It's just absolutely. And that's not even touching on the offensive guys that he played with. But obviously, with him being a defensive coach, just an amazing list of people that he can draw experiences from. He can probably talk to guys with stories about how some of these guys prepared or, interactions with them. But I mean, what a tool to have in your back pocket when you've experienced a life like that. Just phenomenal list of accomplishments that he has.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing, because most of these guys that he's going to come with is going to aspire to get to the level he got. Everybody's not going to make it. And sometimes you got to be realistic with yourself. You got to be the best college player you can be. I mean, and if you be the best college player you can be, then your chances of making it to the NFL are great. But then you think about some of the names you just talked about, with DJ playing with, and the knowledge that he's gained over his playing days in the NFL, and now he's been in the coaching realm for the last 8 to 9 years, and he's seen some guys, coached against some guys. So that good bit of knowledge that he has coming into this 25 season, and these recruits that are coming in this year and the ones that are be coming in the future, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about, because he's been here and been there. And it's great to see that he can be able to share that with individuals that he comes across with. If he can go sit in somebody's couch and say, hey, I played at App State and I made it to the highest level. I can't say your child can get there, but it's always an opportunity, because I used to think that guys from our school wouldn't make it to the level.
Right.
But if we look, when App State put out a infogram of all the App State players who were in the NFL playoffs. I think it was like eight of them that were in the playoffs. And so you can make you're able to make a name for yourself and be able to get into the league. And I like to tell, me and Rich were actually talking about it the other day. It's not about always getting to the league and being a professional, but how can App State prepare you to be a professional after football?
Yeah. And
so I think, DJ will be capable of doing that, along with the rest of the guys that are on that staff.
I agree 100%. The ability to pour into another young man, right? Like that's what it is at this point. I mean, we all have kids that we're raising. I know BT, your son is grown now, but we got boys that we're raising. And we look at it kind of the same way. What can I pour into you? What I want to give you the best part of what I know. Right. I've been there. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. Right. I know what it looks like. I know what it takes to get to that level. If I'm DJ, to that professional level of football, I can't guarantee that you're going to make it there. But what I can do is pour into you everything that was poured into me. I can give you every piece of good that I have. And then it's on you after that to put in the work, because faith without work is dead. Right. I can make you believe that you can go to the league at any level or at any point in time. But if you're not putting in the work, and that means doing the extra things, right? Staying after practice, making sure you're getting treatment, right? I know there was so many times that on our team where guys was like, man, getting treatment is so annoying, and you got to be there at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then you got to stay late after practice and all those kinds of things. It's about being a professional. You get your mind in that mode now. Take care of your body, because you only get one of them. And the minute your body betrays you and lets you down, you can forget about the NFL. You can forget about college football in general. Hell, you can forget about having a good back at 30 years old.
Hey, I just talked about me having a bad back before. We just talked about it, man. Listen, I got a bad back right now, and I'm trying to do it. And so it's kind of like what TJ say, when you got somebody that's pouring into you, and you can help these guys along the way, man, it speaks volumes. Yeah. So I know I know. Obviously, the other week we were talking. All the guys are happy for DJ being able to back up there, support him, pour into this Mountaineer program. And it's always when you build relationships with coaches that coach you, you're gonna remember them forever. Coach, like I remember Coach Galloway, Coach Lonnie Galloway. He was at North Carolina last year. Mm-hmm. He was our receivers coach on the 2005 championship team.
Should have been offensive coordinator. But
yeah, listen. I mean, hey, he brought so much knowledge to me into that receivers court that I always remember. Yeah, and it's like that's why the last couple of times we went to play App State, I've been able to. I mean, we went to play App State, played North Carolina. I've been able to talk to him pregame and forward. Been able to text him after the games, things of that nature, because he poured so much into me and kind of believed in us. Yeah. And so when you have a coach that pours into the athletes, those relationships go longer than just that year or that 4 years that they're there. These are lifetime things. And it's ironic that one day I'm a high school football official here in Charlotte. I end up refereeing a game that his sons were playing in.
Wow, full circle moment.
Yeah, full circle moment. And I was like, and I kind of remember their faces. And so during the middle of the game, it's like, Coach Galloway, your son, your dad? He's like, yeah. And so after the game, I went up to him and talked to him and introduced myself. So like I said, it's a full circle moment of Galloway being there with us in 2005. And then now being able to see him at games where App State played Carolina, then seeing his kids being able to play here in Charlotte, up in Charlotte as well.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Coach Galloway raised me from a pup, right? I mean, I was a freshman out there running around, played quarterback and running back in high school. Didn't know how to run a route more, from a hole in the ground. But he worked with me, taught me the offense. And by the time my sophomore year rolled around, I was ready to start because of what he was able to pour into me. So it goes back to what you're saying, man. These coaches, you'll never forget. You might forget what somebody does or what somebody says, like Coach Jerry Moore used to say to us all the time, but you'll never forget how somebody made you feel. And Lonnie Galloway was one of those coaches that made me feel like I could do anything. He made me feel like all you got to do is learn this, and you can play in any offense. I learned every single position, so there was never a time that I shouldn't be on the field. There was times that I played X receiver my senior year just because I knew the offense.
Sure.
Yeah. So going back to that point, it's just like you said, being able to be a coach and to be able to pour as a parent, as a coach, as an official, as any sort of male or female that you're really reaching out to, and you've got an influence on kids. Pour what you can pour into these people because they won't forget it.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah, and I didn't play at the level that you guys did, but I still remember some of my favorite coaches. So it's obvious that it's what you're saying is true across the spectrum. It doesn't matter if you're reaching the highest level of college football or not. Like, it is from your youth onward. And one funny thing, I did not play with you guys. I never played the game of football until flag football after, my playing days were probably over anyways. There was one Jerry Moore quote that stuck with me, and I'm pretty sure he gave it to Devin Moore. It was in one of those pump-up videos for, I believe, the LSU game before y'all matched up with them after each national championship. A big build-up for that one. And he had him over after a run. I mean, the clip doesn't show exactly what happened. But Devin walks over. I believe it's Devin, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's just a solo of those two. And he looks at him, and he goes, it's not just going to happen for you. You got to go make it happen. And like, such a simple phrase, right? Like, there's nothing prophetic about that, but it just stuck with me over all these years. And maybe it was part of how, TA and his crew shot that and made it more than what it was. But it was just a little thing that, like you said, that some of those things just stick with you long term. Yeah. And that's like one of those simple things that is not much of a phrase when you break it down by what he's actually saying, but
it's moments.
Goes along with what you said.
Yeah, it's moments. The things that were said to us and the way that they were said to us were not just about the words. It was about the moments in which they were said, right? Tough times build tough people. And we went through a bunch of them. Winter gym. I mean, you're talking about 2 days. We had to work out 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning and full workouts, right? And then you got football practice and right in that afternoon, and your legs feel like Jell-O. And Coach Patterson is yelling and screaming at you because you're not making time, or because your legs, and then you got coaches during practice. They don't understand that your legs are gone, so your routes are slow, and those kinds of things. Those tough times and those tough moments helped us build those national championships, because by the time we got to the game, and BT, you can speak to this too, football, the game was easy. We had done the hard part. Like, practice again, we will never, ever in our lives go against better competition than what we played against at practice.
Yeah. Like we got to talk about it, how we used to make practices used to be so competitive. Yeah. And so, and the coaches kind of made it that way, and the players carried on 2 times over, so that when we got ready for game day, it was easy. And I think that's something that I've heard a little bit about in the coaching realm. It's like, you got to make practice so hard that when you get to the game, it's easy. Yeah. And I think with DJ coming in on that defensive side of football, and getting that scheme implemented, got to make it hard in practice. So when it comes Saturday, you can fly around. You can run fast. You ain't got to think as much. You do all your thinking. But now they go Sunday through Thursday. You got to think Sunday through Thursday to come on Saturday. You ain't got to think that much. You go fly into the football and make things happen. And so I definitely look forward to what to see in the spring, and also what they're going to put together on the field as a product as App State takes on hits the field in the fall for that 25 season.
Yeah. And another thing too, we talked about it last week, and just to reiterate to the fan base and to everybody watching, man, patience. Be patient. This thing ain't gonna happen overnight, right? I mean, just because we got some fresh blood and some familiar eyes and those kinds of things back on the mountain doesn't mean that the culture is going to change overnight. We got to rebuild this thing. I mean, we got to rebuild, retool, and we got to remodel how we play football and get back to the basics. And it's as fundamentally as running a 4-3 instead of a 3-4, right? I mean, we got to get that kind of level of basics back on top of that mountain, and we'll get back there. We'll get back to bowl games. It may take a 8-win season and a bowl win. Right. And maybe that's not exactly what we're looking for right away, but I'd rather have 8 wins in a bowl game than what we had last season. Yeah. Right. And so be patient. Give these guys some time. We'll get back there. I promise you.
You will.
And I think the good news is, as we've seen with, probably the worst team in the Sun Belt last year with Southern Miss, parity reigns supreme right now. And they may be one of the better teams out there on the West side after what they've acquired. Now, that's not typical. That's not going for everybody. That's not saying that's what App State's currently doing. But obviously all the teams are trying to do that. So from one season to the next, I feel like it's much more difficult to predict where we're about to go, both for App State and just teams in general from one season to the next, because you've got so much movement and so much different moving parts that are a part of this bigger puzzle. The kind of good part to it, all of it, is that literally every single fan base should go into next season with enjoyment and excitement, because you don't know. Oh, here, case in point. Guess where Arizona State was predicted to finish before the season started, right? Last.
They're like last. And they were down in the conference.
Yes, they were predicted to finish dead last in their conference, and look where they got. They got a top 4 spot.
And almost beat Texas.
And maybe should have beat Texas.
Maybe should have beat Texas.
This is one of those things where I'll kind of say I'm not too fond of like those rankings. Like, who's ranking them? The coaches? Somebody?
Like what are you looking at? What are you looking at that you can tell at the beginning of a season what a team's going to be like in week 12?
The funniest thing is, like, people who vote for these different rankings, you can't tell me that you sit up here and you watch 25 games a day on a weekend.
Yeah, you can't. No way. There's no way. Not possible.
There's full disclosure here. TJ and I get on here and talk every week. You think we watch every second of every game?
We can't even watch every game of our own conference.
Yeah.
Let alone what every other conference is doing.
No.
Listen, y'all know on the weekends, I've seen nothing but App State football for the last 3 years. When I get a bye week, I'm still watching somebody else. I may get home. I may get home I may catch a late night West Coast game when I get home to finally watch somebody else play from traveling. You don't get to see all these games. So a lot of things that you look at are stat lines or highlights to say, well, this team did this week. No, go look at the film. I'll go look at, like, say if we got Georgia Southern coming up in a week. I'll go watch who they played 2 weeks before. Because I have access to the film, so I can go and watch what they're doing. And that's how I can, quote unquote, see them play that week. But other than that, you're not sitting up here being able to see all these games. And so that's why I think a lot of the expectations that fans have, you're going to have a brand new quarterback with a brand new head coach. I think you got a brand new running back. I believe, they got a brand new running back on the offensive side. So then you're going to have a brand new
offensive lineman.
You got we probably talk about, you got a brand new defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
You're going to have, I think, maybe 1 or 2 returners in the secondary. I think that's my numbers correct. Now, don't quote me wrong. You may have one. I think depending on what Harrington's able to do, you may have one starter linebacker.
Yep.
Your D line
is going to be brand new. Defense is going to be all new.
I think you may get 2. So if you think about out of 22 players that are starters, off the top of my head, I think you may bring back 9 from last year.
I was going to say 8 or 9 if my numbers are right. You may bring back
8 or 9 from last year. So if the quarterback goes out there and throws a pick 6 on the first drive of the game, I mean, he probably know where the receiver's supposed to be at.
Right.
But I'm going to say something about it.
Yeah. and look, and that following Wednesday, we will too.
Yep. Quick note on Monty Marshall went down to it was a lesser known, all-star game, pro day type of environment where they're doing immeasurables and stuff too. Yep. And apparently very impressive. He made a name for himself. So be on the lookout for Monty Marshall to get into the draft conversation. I'm not saying he will get drafted after this, but he made some people notice him. So he has got some talent, and it's great to see and hear that. Because we saw, him come along a little slowly at the start of last year due to injury and probably just being a depth thing too. But came on strong at the end of that season, really impressive in the end. So hopefully he can go on and do some damage at the next level for us.
Wish him well.
Yeah, and the guy that gave me that intel is Dominic Ambrose, who says, "What's up, fellas?"
What's up, Dominic?
He may or may not have been down there covering some stuff. He's going to bring out an article on it on College Football Dog, so be on the lookout for that because we may have a guy be mentioned out, and he's going to probably bring you a couple of underrated guys that may be making a name for themselves coming into the draft. That's it from me as far as I'm concerned, guys. I think it was another great episode. Thank you guys for your input. Any last notes or words or things you want to cover real quick before we get out of here?
No, I think I said it all, man. Like I said, patience with these guys. Again, welcome back, DJ. Thank him again for his time. And thank you too, Brad. I know you're going to be probably a little bit more familiar face moving forward, which we also appreciate because you'll have some direct insight into what not only App State but also games that they'll be playing and who they'll be playing against. So we certainly look forward to you moving forward. But yeah, like I said, just let's get ready for a good season, and if we can, try to see if we can't get up there to some spring practices.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm always good for that. And again, like I said, man, thank y'all for having me on. I look forward to being a contributor to talk App State football, college sports, and college football in general, because there's a lot of moving parts that are going to be going on this 25 season. I'm not sure some of you may have read that there's a proposal up right now about the transfer window. I think I saw online today where the coaches were all for it, but you got some moving parts. You got to be able to make sure that happens. Not sure if it's going to fall into place. You got transfer portal, you got signing day coming up. The winter signing day coming up in a month, I think. Mm-hmm. It's about 3 or 4 weeks away, I believe. So it's a lot of moving parts that'll be going on in the college football world within the next 2 months. And then teams kick off getting ready for spring ball. Then you have another spring window opening up, a transfer window opening up for kids who don't want to be where they're at and want to go somewhere else. That grass is about as green as that thing that's sitting behind Dominic right now.
Right.
Fake grass. See what I'm saying? Ain't it? So, I mean, it's a lot of moving parts going on in college football right now. And I look forward to, contributing some of the insight and knowledge that I gained over it. A lot of rules and interpretations that go into place of these things. So, man, like I said, man, it's always great to be a Mountaineer and go out.
And we'll end with that. We'll see you guys next time.
SBSyndicate.